Do you feel leadership is feeling more complicated, but you just can't quite explain why? Nothing has gone wrong, you're still capable, you're still delivering and still showing up, and yet something just feels different. There are more emotions, more layers, everything feels more draining than it used to. I see this with leaders who I work with all the time, and I've felt it also in my career. There comes a point when you realise the pressure isn't coming from the workload. The pressure is coming from the space you're holding between people. Leaders today are carrying pressures they never were trained for, navigating generational expectations, identity shifts, and emotional safety all at once, and no one really prepared us for that. Leadership didn't get harder overnight, it has changed slowly. Expectations have evolved, workplaces have become more human. Conversations are more emotionally aware, and performance alone, it's not enough. You're now expected to lead outcomes, manage people, hold emotions, create psychological safety, navigate generational expectations, and still deliver results, all at the same time. Most leaders are still using tools designed for a different era. When was the last time a simple conversation was replayed in your head much longer than it should have? Not because of the actual task, but because of the people who were involved. This is the new pressure. Here's what I see constantly. Leaders aren't just managing anymore. They're translating between senior expectations and team capacity, urgency, and well-being, performance and emotional safety, experience, and emerging perspectives. You say one thing and immediately your mind is processing. How will they hear this? Will this land as pressure? Do I need to soften it? Do I need to clarify more? That invisible mental work, that's translation, and it's exhausting. The leaders who I work with aren't struggling with competence. They're navigating 3 new pressures. Number 1, generational expectations. Different definitions of respect, feedback, pace, leadership. Number 2, identity shifts. The leader you were trained to be is not the leader you're being asked to be now. And number 3, emotional safety, responsibility. People don't just expect direction, they expect awareness, presence, and sensitivity. You hold all of these while still delivering outcomes, and that's a lot. Remember the moment when you realised, I'm not just leading the work, I'm holding everybody together as well. This realisation changes how leadership feels. This is the part most leaders don't say out loud. The exhaustion isn't always from doing, it's from holding expectations, interpretations, reactions, emotional climates. You're constantly adjusting, clarifying here, softening there, reframing again, because what you say is no longer information. It's expected. It's experienced. It's experienced. That level of awareness requires energy. Here's something I invite leaders to experiment with, not as a tactic, but as a way of approaching the moment differently. Next time you notice yourself bracing before responding, next time you feel that moment of friction with someone, next time you're about to respond and feel the pressure rise, or when a simple conversation suddenly starts to feel complicated, just pause for a second and ask yourself, am I about to direct or translate? Directing sounds like, here's what needs to happen. Translating sounds like, here's what this means for you. It's subtle. But that one move changes how safe people feel, how clearly expectations land, how quickly alignment happens. You're not softening the message, you're helping it land. Leaders who operate this way create far less friction without saying more. Leadership used to be about clarity to direction to execution. Now it's about awareness to context to connection to execution. Performance still matters, but how you get there matters more than ever. It requires slowing before speaking, context before expectation, curiosity before correction. Not softer leadership, more precise leadership. Where in your leadership are you still operating from old training in a completely new environment? At some point, every experienced leader recognises this moment. I can't lead the way I used to anymore. Not because you've lost your edge, simply because leadership itself has evolved. Your role becomes less about directing and more about integrating people, expectations, emotions, and outcomes. This is the move from performer to translator to manager to integrator to leader. And when that clicks, leadership becomes clearer. Your responses become more intentional. Conversations stop feeling like something you have to carry by yourself. So next time a simple conversation starts feeling complicated, just remember to pause before assuming it's a task. What am I holding between people right now? Because chances are you're not just leading the work, you're translating expectations, emotions, and experiences across completely different worlds. And that's the pressure leaders were never trained for. But once you see it, you don't react the same way. You lead with more awareness and more clarity, and a steadiness that people will feel. That's where modern leadership really begins.